Breakfast with Aaron and Helen, 5 to 9 weekdays on Hope 103.2.
Our former Premier is heading up a different kind of party this weekend, a classical music concert where she's chosen all the songs. Good morning, Kristina Keneally.
Good morning, Aaron and Helen. How are you?
Well, thank you. In light of the news in the last week or so, do we need to ask how your hair's looking today?
No, you don't.
Okay.
It'll do its own interviews later in the week.
Yeah, right. What do you make of all the attention that's been given to your hairstyle?
Well, forgive me for being political for just a moment. I am a politician after all, but I thought it was extraordinary, and particularly given that the government had returned to Parliament that week. I thought, well, they clearly don't have a legislative agenda that's sparking any interest if attention can be so quickly diverted to my hairstyle. It was just quite a funny, odd week.
Well, Parliament did run out of things to talk about, didn't it, towards the end?
Well, the government did shut the Parliament one day. They did run out of legislation, so maybe they were thanking God that my hair was stealing the thunder.
Maybe.
I must ask you, Kristina, the last couple of years, this year, the election, any normal person, I think, would have ended up in a mental hospital after the stress and pressure of that. How have you coped with all of that? How do you come out of that and still manage to function as well as you do?
Well, the first thing I would say is, and I do get asked this question sometimes, it was an extraordinary experience, an extraordinary set of circumstances, but at the same time, it was my job. And, you know, I was the leader of the party, I was the Premier of the state, and I knew that the people of the state and expected me to get up and do my job every day. And I knew that if I didn't inspire my troops in the election campaign, the candidates who were running for the Labor Party, to get out every morning and campaign, then who else was going to do it? It was my responsibility. I took it on willingly, and I just thought to do it to the best of my ability. I'm very fortunate. I have a very supportive family and a husband in particular. I've got a great set of friends and a good community around me, particularly here in the area which I live, the organizations I'm involved with, including my local parish. So I was really fortunate in a lot of ways to have all that strength behind me.
And on to a slightly more fun topic this Friday. You know, some people are content to program their iPod, but you've really taken hearing your favourite music to a whole new level for Friday night.
Well, I was invited to be part of the Music and Me concert series, which is a new way of performing music, I suppose. They've done it previously with Justice Kirby. And it's a way to give local musicians, particularly ones who've been classically trained, an opportunity to perform and to appeal to a wider audience that perhaps might not come along to a traditional classical music concert. So I have chosen the songs, the pieces. And I'll be interviewed in between the musical performances on the different pieces that we're hearing. It's a mixture of classical and musical theatre. So I've thought to cover a few of the key aspects of my life in the pieces that I've picked.
Please tell me you snuck something from Hair in there just to get a dig in.
Well, in hindsight, perhaps I should have. I did sneak in from the Pajama Game, a musical some of your listeners may well be familiar with, a song about wage negotiations between a union and an employer.
Oh, nice. I was also hoping for Glory, Glory to South Sydney to make it on there. Thought that'd be one close to your heart.
It is. Look, it's because we were striving for musical theatre and classical pieces, there was a slightly different selection. Had I been allowed to pick from a wider range, there may have been a few things like the South Sydney anthem in there. But I've also gone for some things that are a bit more reflective of both my history and my personality and my faith. So there's a piece there by a composer, an American composer called Aaron Copland, and it's Appalachian Spring, and it's a classic American piece. Of course, I was born in America. My I have some family that have come from that part of the United States, and it's such a beautiful piece, and your listeners might be familiar with it in that it's also he borrowed from a tune called "Simple Gifts," which is once people hear it, they say, "Oh yes, I know that," and I love it so much, and we actually played it as the entrance to our wedding.
Oh.
My husband and I were married, so I managed to sneak it in again, and as well the beautifully classic Ave Maria, which is an amazing piece of music, and again very familiar to people. But I've also gone for an obscure song called Ohio. It's called Ohio. It's from a musical called A Wonderful Town, and it somewhat both mocks and speaks fondly of Ohio. And as a girl from Ohio who's left and gone on to different parts of the world, the song I find both quite ironic, quite funny, and a little bit poignant.
Now, you approach this, which is, I think, as an extra element to this, as a musician yourself, cello and flute, is that correct?
It is. I spent a lot of my growing up years practicing, and it's great discipline, music. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you math.
Yes.
But it also opens up your creativity and your imagination. And it was a real challenge for me to learn the cello. And I suspect if you put me in front of one today, I wouldn't be able to produce much of anything that anyone would pay to hear. I do still enjoy playing the flute, and it was my primary instrument. And in fact, on the night, they're going to play a Bach piece that I always struggled with. And I'm looking forward to hear it being played properly.
Great. Just one more question before we let you go. Mm-hmm. You've been our Premier. You're still active in politics. You're a member for Heffernan. How tough is it to be a person of faith and a politician?
Well, I don't find it tough. I actually find it quite compatible in that there are a lot of challenges one faces in politics at a personal level in particular. And faith to me has been a great comfort, a great source of strength. My faith community, my local parish, has also been a great source of strength, a place that I could always go and be known and loved and accepted and supported, no matter what people's political affiliations. And I think we're seeing, not just in Australia, but indeed right around the world, resurgence of religion in the public square. That is, people bringing religion back into the public square, where people don't particularly see that religion is purely a private matter. Tony Blair spoke about this just a few weeks ago when he was in Australia, and he made the point that, religion will be far more important to shaping the next century than politics, in his view. And whether it's of a Christian faith or any other, I think religion in Australia is certainly, we're seeing that same impulse that religion is starting to really be brought into public debate and discussion. It has a legitimate role to play there.
Well, we look forward to this concert. It's at the Paddington Uniting Church this Friday night. We'll put all the information up on our Facebook page as well. Oh. Kristina Keneally, a real pleasure to speak to you. Thank you.
My pleasure to be on the program this morning. Thanks, Aaron and Helen.
Breakfast with Aaron and Helen, 5 to 9 weekdays on Hope 103.